Hello, this is Artsy Wisdom. My name is Diane. Thank you for coming by. I'm going to do a video on what I said I would do yesterday, which was Prince Harry receiving a Pat Tillman Award. I looked into that. I also wanted to Matthew Perry, because there were some murder charges against two people that may have given him the drugs that he died with around. And I talked to him. I had done a video on Matthew Perry before, and it was very interesting. And it was, everybody's at peace now, but I looked into that. And then Karen Reed trial. It just went to a mistrial the other day. Jury could not decide. I think that's called a hung jury. So I looked into John O'Keefe's energy. I had looked and I went into him before, and I saw what he saw. And today I wanted to do that again. To maybe get some more details, and I did. Very, very interesting. And again, if I haven't said so already, I'm going to do something on Biden's health. I pulled some cards on him in yesterday's video. I had seen that he will move forward as the nominee. I don't think that's going to be changing, and he will win. But I also wanted to get into his health and wrinkle up some paper. I do that to get the energy of things. And somebody had asked me before what kind of dessert he was. I'm going to give you that image that I got. Okay, I think that's it. So let's get started. So before I do, I wanted to thank all my new subscribers, my old subscribers, new viewers, anybody that stopped by, likes, shares. I really appreciated it. It means a lot to me. And your comments. Love all your comments. Even the ones that have said to me recently, or some people have said, that they are not really happy that I am not a fan of Kamala Harris, our vice president, or Meghan Markle, and that they don't appreciate that, which is fine. I understand. And I'm not angry. I'm not angry at you or anybody else that comes here and doesn't agree with me, or I'm not angry at these ladies. I just share what I see. And sometimes those decision choices, perspectives that these people's energies that I get into, it helps me understand their personality and how that affects humanity, how it affects democracy or the world events or situations. And that's it. So I get it. I understand, but I also hope that you understand that that's how I work. And I really am committed to bringing lightness in the world. And doesn't always look the same for everybody. So hopefully I explained that pretty well. Okay, let's get started. I first went into Prince Harry's getting the Pat Tillman Award. There's a foundation in Pat Tillman's name. You know, he was the Arizona Cardinal that was killed in action. He was actually a really good football player, I think for like 10 years. And after 9/11, he joined the service. I think it might even be the Army Rangers or something. And he was really committed. So he sacrificed millions of dollars in, his football contracts and go and serve. He was killed in Iraq or Afghanistan. And we found out later it was friendly fire, which was really difficult because I think they hid it for a little bit. But there's a foundation set up in his name for leaders, people that support men and women in the service, people that use sports or teamwork, or people that sacrifice, people that are known for service. And they give awards. There's foundations for education. It's just lovely. So Prince Harry is receiving one of those awards. I think he and two other people, and I can't remember who the other ones are, but Pat Tillman's mother is not really happy with that, and she feels like there could be somebody more well-deserving. So what I did was I looked into Prince Harry's energy. I think it's going to be given July 11th. Could be wrong. But I looked into Harry's energy, and I do feel like he'll be there, and I think he's happy to receive it. I saw him as, poor Harry, he just has all kinds of He's trying. He's trying so hard, but it's hard. Anyway, I see him. It's so weird because when he opens his mouth, I see bubbles coming out like there's no noise, like air. And I don't know what that means if when he gives his speech, it won't it won't mean a lot or say a lot, but it's not very strong or something. It's like bubbles are coming out of his mouth. I do feel like Meghan will be there. I think she will, it probably incorporate some of her new brand there or what she's wearing, or because I know she has that new Netflix series. I think they might be filmed. I think that's going to be all incorporated because they're always thinking, always, or she is and he is. I think he is too. They're always trying to build that up. And I think Serena Williams is the host of the event. Yeah, I think that has something to do with it. When I did get into Meghan's energy, I feel like a sense of desperation a little bit. She's tried a bunch of things and some of them are sticking, but I think we're not hearing everything. I think not so much about her failing, but just there's so many things that might be in the works. And I think there's a difficulty when it comes to an intense managing of these ideas. I feel like there's a disconnect or difficulty. And I am still in the place that they're sticking together. I think, the shine is worn off a little bit on the marriage, but I think they're going to work it out, at least for now. And I feel like they do love each other, but they are getting each other's needs, but they're filling each other's holes in a way, heart holes, because I think she has a bunch too. And, but I do think he's going to get it and she'll be there and try and steal a spotlight a little bit. And I was just thinking about the kids though. I feel like there's something with Archie, and I've seen Lilibet. Diana's hovering over Lilibet. I think she watches over her. Princess Diana. And Archie, I have a sense that he's kind of like Harry in a way where he's, I don't want to say looking for love, but there's a sense of confusion with him. And he needs more attention, I feel. Archie does. And hopefully he'll get that or is getting that. And it's just my imagination. Maybe that's what it is. All right, let's move on. So someone had asked me about Matthew Perry. I'm in the past, and I might roll the video. So now when I went into his energy after that, I know he's onward and gone to, his school in the sky. I saw him as, he was sad because he wasn't ready to move on. But I saw the people around him, these two guys, and it felt like there was one here and then one behind them, like the drugs or the ketamine or whatever it was he was taking came from two different sources. Or one person had this and he only gave him so much and he collected this from this other person. I don't know if those two people knew each other, but I see them layered, like one is behind the other and they're giving him this stuff. And I think Matthew Perry I think he wanted just to feel good. And these guys, I don't know if they knew about each other. That's the feeling I get. I could totally be wrong. But I don't know if they knew about each other and they were supplying him with his drugs. And Matthew Perry took too many and he was in that hot tub. And I think that it slowed down his respiration. He felt really good and comfortable and it was out of it. And like in the video, I see him looking into the sky and I think it was just too much. And then he was relaxed and he never got out of the water. I don't think he wanted to OD. I don't think so. I know so. I don't think that was a plan. I just think he thought he found a legal way to feel better. Legal or not one of his old drugs, but a new way that, addicts, they ignore what they shouldn't do. And he knew by getting these two um, amounts of drugs from two different sources, chances are he was going to layer them, and he knew it would be a lot, but he was ignoring that and hoping, like addicts do. They don't want to die necessarily, but they just want that super high. And I felt like he was ignoring reality. He was in this illusion state, and oh yeah, some of you haven't been here before. I have to take notes and write everything down. Yeah, so I said that the water, and he went into respiratory arrest because he drowned. He went in the water. I feel like they will get some drug charges against them, and I think it's supposed to be murder, but I think it may be down to like involuntary manslaughter or something like that, or manslaughter. I think they will get charged though. I mean, like get convicted, but he didn't want to die. I don't think he wanted to die. And he's sad, he said, but he's learning. And these words came to me when I was listening to him. He said he made his choices and there's no one to blame but me. He says there's no one to blame but me. He said, I wanted to live, but my soul had more to do and my learning was done there. So I don't think physically he wanted to leave, but for some reason he allowed himself to move on a soul level. Anyway, it was sad, and people are sad, and he wasn't ready to leave physically, but just karma, I think, and addicts. It's hard. It's really hard. Even though I know he was doing a lot of good work with addicts and supporting other people who are, trying to stay sober. So I knew he was doing that, so that was really good. Do that. All right, Karen Reed. The trial just ended in a mistrial, hung jury. And in the past, I've gotten into John O'Keefe's energy, and this is before I even watched a minute of trial. But I saw him, it was a fight. I saw him in a fight, and I didn't know exactly how it went. I felt like he was being, like his arms were in the air, and he was getting beat up. And I didn't know anybody that was in it because I wanted to know, did she really back into him? Did she, Karen Reed supposedly hit him with her giant SUV or Lexus SUV and the whole taillight broke, which I still find, she'd have to really hit him hard for that whole taillight to break. But according to them, they found it. There's a lot of mismanagement. And in fact, the detective that was overseeing the investigation was friends of the guy whose house he was found in front of, and very kind of incestuously family and friends trying to cover up, I think. But that was my opinion after watching the trial. All right, so I get into Karen Reed's energy. Let's go to that night. It's late night and the snow is just barely starting to fall. And I'm in her seat. I'm in her car. And he gets out because she's dropping him off, John O'Keefe off. And I feel drunk. I feel like my head wants to lay on the steering wheel, like I'm tired. And he's getting out, and I hear the bing, bing, bing of the door and the light. And supposedly he was going to call her because she wasn't sure if she should go in because these people weren't necessarily friends of hers. He knew them. And closes the door, and I see him slipping on the wet grass because he gets out onto this grassy area. And I see him slipping and falling. And I think he had a glass in his hand. And we couldn't figure out why their glass was under his body. But at that moment, I think he dropped the glass. Now, the body comes later. But in this moment, he slips and falls on this glass. And I think it broke underneath him. He had a scratch on his one knee. And I think that's how it got there. I think he fell on the ground right then and there. He didn't hurt himself bigly or a lot. But then he got up. And then he's walking across the grass, and I see somebody coming up the driveway. It's dark, up the driveway because there's a car here, and they're coming up the driveway, and he's kind of friendly with this person. And they walk up to the house together, and then they meet, or they go into the house, or they get close to the house, and there's somebody there. And there's a kid, Colin Albert. He's a nephew of the homeowner, one of the many Alberts involved in this storyline. And I think he is also coming to meet them or going with them. He said he was waiting for a ride and at the front door, but I think he left. He went out of the house. John comes up the driveway, and this person, who I think might be Brian Higgins, this other person, or somebody, I don't think it's anybody we don't know. I think it's him. And they walk up together, and I have a rising tension. I feel this rising tension. Like, I don't feel like John O'Keefe felt like he was going to get ambushed because he wouldn't have gone up there. But he gets up there, and I think Brian Albert, the homeowner, somehow meets them, and they all go downstairs, and it begins. Or near the entryway or something, or going downstairs. It begins. They just attack him. And the boy, or then he was 18 or 17, he's like part of it. And then the dog, supposedly Chloe, had chewed up John O'Keefe's arm. You could see that it's dog bites and dog scratches. She gets involved because everybody's all fighting. I think, and in my mind's eye, I saw a lot of dark, complex history between, I feel like it's old history, John, the two Brians. There's some issues there. And there was a lot of anger. And I felt like there's a lot of old history between police groups or police agencies, or something happened. And we've not heard this. It's something different. There's something that happened that is still in the memory banks of all these guys. Not so much the young kid, but there was history. And somebody is mad. And it just started. And then I see, seriously, somebody hit like a huge thing on the back of his head. Like hard. I could see it coming at him. And I never saw that before. I wasn't sure if he got hit or what, but I did feel like that is what did it. And I know, now that I've watched the trial, I know that that was his main fatal injury besides the hypothermia. But I think it might have been the young kid, Colin, or Brian Higgins, one of those two guys. I don't know if it was the homeowner or not. I don't think so. But then they ended up covering everything up. He fell down the stairs, and I don't know if they knew he was as hurt as he was. And then I think they waited it out, and eventually they put him outside. But I don't think they told the wives, because the wives all went on the witness stand, all these kids that were there. I don't think they told everybody. I think what they said maybe was that he fell down the stairs and he hurt himself, and we don't want to get blamed for it. And I think they were covering that up. So they put him on the front porch or front lawn and pretended the plow hit him, or Karen. At first it was the plow. I think they kind of thought it would be the plow because of the snow. And I think they started to come up with the plan that Karen hit him. So definitely. And I just feel like there's a lot of testosterone, a lot. And that's what happened. John's niece and nephew, who he's caring for as guardian after his sister and brother-in-law died, they're the ones that are going to have to suffer this experience amongst their own parents dying. But I think that's what happened. Now, when it comes to the trial, a new trial, the investigator was fired. The one that knew all of them. He was investigating it. So he just got fired or let go or dismissed or put in a different department. And I think there's a big investigation. The FBI is investigating. The state is investigating because something was not done right. And they were trying. And I don't think Karen Reed was a peach. I don't think so. I think she's very intense. And I think she, I got the sword. I don't think she, I think she was difficult. But I think she wasn't an angel is my point, but he didn't deserve that. Okay. All right. So I think that was it. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to look into Biden's health one more time. So what I do is I crumple paper, and I have been looking into his energy, and uh, somebody had asked me about his dessert that he looks like, and I'd seen him, Joe Biden, as a meringue, like a big flat meringue. If you leave a meringue in the oven and it dries it out, that's the feeling I got, where it's crusty on the outside and it looks thicker, but inside it's kind of dried out. That's the feeling I get. I know I've seen that before. It's still kind of solid, but there's cavities if you poke it kind of wholly. And it reminds me of something when you make a pavlova, which is layers of meringues with this whipped cream, custard, and sometimes fruit on it. I think of Jill Biden as the custard. It's kind of holding it all together. Also very white or creamy, but she's in a different category. But so I'm going to crumple up paper to look into Biden's health. Oh, I see a dark one. He's going to hold it together, like I said, till the fall, till the election. And the last video I said I wish they'd give him some strength training exercises, or I don't know if he has some sort of muscular degeneration thing going on. That could be why his legs are hard. He's more shuffly than he used to be. But I still feel like he could do some more core things, even though he's 81. He's going to get through this. He's on a train. I see him taking a train, which, of course, we know how Joe Biden loves trains. But I feel like he's on a train to the election, and he won't get off that track. And in the last video, I said, his past life was being a knight or a soldier fighting many lives. He'll not give up he'll battle until he's gone. That's his mentality in this. And I think Joe Biden might have been one of his, in the army or in the soldiers with him, or another knight with him. And they did this together. And so she's supporting him because she knows how it is to battle. I see him maintaining, staying on his train track, not getting off. And I also feel like he's not going to do too much more than he should do. He's not going to get pulled in a bunch of different directions and expend his energy. He's going to delegate more. And I saw that last time, and I feel that same way. I see him on that train track to his destination. He's focused. The pavlova, actually, or the meringue, feels a little thicker, which is interesting. You'd think it would dry out and get more crispy. No, but I do feel like the base of it's a little bit thicker. So that gives me hope, or makes me feel like he's going to be okay. And as good or better health-wise, I think, because they're going to have a little bit more strategies about him. And I see him with the heart, little heart, white with the heart going over the finish line of the election. Somebody's going to come along and try to, not like Kennedy, or maybe it is Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr. Somebody's going to come along, and he's not a Republican, I know that, but I feel like they're going to take some of, like, it's not Trump, it's somebody else, I think, that's going to come along and try to get him off his track, derail him. What would that be? Maybe there's other Democratic candidates that might pop their heads up and go, hey, I'm still here. Andy Beshear of Kentucky was doing a press conference and talking about how he's able to coordinate Republican, Democrats, and we're all Americans, and he's able to work together. And he might have been doing that as a little bit of a self-promotion. I like Andy Beshear, don't get me wrong. But something like that, where I feel like there's a few people that might pop up and go, okay, I'm here. Because I think the donors and the different Democratic powers that be, leadership, are still talking. I don't think he's going to be taken off. No, he'll be the candidate. Yeah, and I feel like his base is getting stronger under the meringue. So go figure. And Jill is there. Actually, not as thick of a custard or whipped cream. He's getting bigger. So there you go. That's today. Now, I saw Bannon last week. I saw Bannon, or I did a video on Bannon going to jail, or a couple weeks ago, or if he was going to go to jail. So he was supposed to report yesterday. And I wasn't sure, but I saw him as super defiant. And I feel like he was defiant up until the very last second. Till he was putting those clothes on, all those orange, prison garments on, or whatever it is they make him wear. And he's already making plans. I can sense he's making plans when he gets out. He's going to do all these things. He's got a list. He's going to keep himself occupied and put all his grudges and his resentments in a big manifesto, and he's going to have it listed, and he's going to be ready to go. I do feel like he'll lose weight while he's in prison. Might be good for him. And this is all avoidable. He just had to show up to Congress when he got subpoenaed, but that's how he is. So, but he's less defiant now, channeling some of that anger, which I think is being a little humility might have been on top of that now, just a little bit. So he's not as defiant. I think that was all I wanted to. He's unhappy and he's less defiant, but I think that was it that I wanted to say. Oh, Judge Mershon. I had said yesterday or the day before when I did the video that, it's funny. I wrote it down that he will not sentence him. It felt different since the summer. I just felt different. And then I thought, no, I believe in Judge Mershon. I believe he's such a strong, right is right, truth is right, law is law. And he didn't want Trump to get away with anything. But now that the prosecution has agreed with the Trump camp about delaying the sentencing till whenever, after the convention or whenever they go through this new immunity or limited immunity decision by the Supreme Court, he's going to wait. It's funny. I should just listen to the voice. The voice knows. My guides know. I just talked over it, but they know. But anyway, so I'm just going to pull a card just for all of us today and see. The Temple, Anima Mundi. So this is everybody. Mundi, which is the world. It's got all the planets. It's got all the astrological signs. This is the world, basically. And all of us humans, all of us coordinated or interconnected, and our humanity, as above, as below, as without, as within. Regardless if you don't think so, we're all connected. We're all part of the same. We're all part of the big oneness. And the temple, that's the other one I picked up. Blessings. All right. I think that's it. Till next time, you guys. And you take care.